You know, Eden Lake Township,
I was gonna say, what, you said one of these districts do have donuts.
yeah, my Eden Lake Township meeting is at, across, on the Meeker side, and they usually have cookies and stuff, and I'm like, hey.
When is that meeting, Mitch, if I miss it?
Right. Oh, hey, yeah. It's over. It was,
I always heard the operators had to bring in their own cookies.
you know, I thought about that, but I don't want to try to win over the board,
You won't keep it under
Oh,
$5.
Those have to be some pretty darn good cookies.
What do you guys like again?
They want to try the new crumbles.
Oh, gosh, right. Quick trip down, yeah, right.
High standards.
Check in, we got a party.
Yeah, no kidding, jeez.
Getting calls from my neighborhood?
No, actually, no, I've had,
You know why? Because they call me.
do they really?
Yes. I know.
That's awful
Like,
nice.
They're like, what the heck is this stuff?
I wasn't so busy, Mitch. I probably would have pranked you quite a bit this year. But I'm pretty busy. I would have changed my number all the time.
Well, Mitch is winning in the number of calls in the office, so.
That's a good thing, right?
Is that before, are you including all the robocalls that we set up for you?
Maybe that was it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, nice seeing you guys. Change.
You out.
Well, yeah, just not the tax stuff.
Right, yeah, not on the computer the last few years. It actually worked fairly
Because I was
decent.
paying attention, I have these all packeted this time, right?
Oh, spy.
Yeah. Like some ideas again. Anything from here? I still believe in paper.
I miss it, it's hard to break that out.
I don't know.
We believe in paper, sorry.
Yeah.
There's that. Oh, you guys need to copy this, I have no idea what order
Oh,
she's
look
in.
at this, it's pre-filled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours at least is pre-filled out.
Hey, Stearns County, by the, Mitch. They had the form pre-filled out already.
Boom. I had very little effort in that one.
That's why we go first, so we can set the bar low.
That's the best answer on that.
That's awesome.
You see?
We come in and set the bar low for.
Oh, sure.
See you later, guys.
Yeah,
See you.
Have a good night.
Some of this one's yours for.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I will go ahead and open the board review for Meeker County.
Okay, so I'm Amy Roush, Meeker County Assessor, and we have Misty here, who is the appraiser for the city. And, sorry, it's been a whole 12 hours since I've had this spiel, so I have to go through it. I will try to keep it a little bit shorter than normal because Mitch does cover a lot what's going on in the area, and his information actually quite mirrors what's going on the Meeker County side. So you guys are signing that certification form. Did they go through when you guys expire? I don't have you on my list because you're on the Stearns side. But, so you got a little packet there. I'm just gonna kind of go through what we did in the area. I know we have one gentleman here who wants to talk, so again, like I said, I'll try to keep it a little bit shorter. So we'll start with this blue one, this one right here. This is our residential sales. Not that one, but the one that you have in front of you, where's this one? There we go. We had 3 sales in the city of Eden Valley. Our preliminary ratio was at 86%, which is exactly what Stearns County, I think I heard them say, was 86% as well. What we did this year is not just an easy for me to say we went up 10% or 5%. We did a countywide new cost schedule. So we updated all our building costs residential, which has not been updated since 2001. So that includes garages, basement finishes, the cost of a basement, concrete, and then also ag buildings. So after plugging in our new cost schedule and put it in our system. Then we saw what our new value was, and then we needed to see if we needed to move it all. And we did lower our building factor just a little bit, but our final median ratio is at 91%. So that's kind of what's going on with the residential. But again, like what Mitch was talking about, what's going through with everything coming, like right now, I have two new sales. One I'm at 103%, the other one I'm at 75%. So I don't think they've been verified as of yet. So those are just kind of raw ratios. And that's happening kind of countywide, that after all the increases that we've had going on, that the new ones are coming in low. Not so much in probably this area that I'm seeing on the lakes, Dassel and Darwin, Collinwood. I'm coming in pretty low. Our biggest probably increases in Meeker County was in the city of Litchfield. They saw about a 25 to 30% increase. One, because they didn't have an increase last year. Also, the city of Eden Valley did not have an increase last year. It was this kind of depreciation. We didn't have to. So people probably saw, it could range probably close to 10% increase overall. Just looking at a little bit here. So that's kind of going on with our residential. We did provide you with what's going on with our acreage residential land. Most of the jurisdictions did get a 10% just on your acreage on resident. Those are some sales that we never seem to catch. Someone buying a 3-acre site, a 15-acre site, doesn't matter. So we needed to increase our acres. And those are based off of the sales, off of split sales, people buying farmland whatsoever. So that's just kind of telling you where our residential land values stand. If I'm moving too fast, you can stop and let me know. So I just try to move through it as best I can. The next one is you have a green map in front of you. This is what agricultural trends were. So I don't know if Stern said if they had a residential time trend, which they probably, did they mention that at all? Okay, so there's time trends that happen that's set by the Department of Revenue. So they take 21-month study and they determine over those period of time, if I have over 30 sales in an area, are we moving fast enough? Because we're always kind of behind in the market. For residential this year, I appealed it. Otherwise, we would have been sitting at about a 16% time trend. So I'm guessing Stearns had a time trend because there was only 2 counties in the state that did not get a time trend. I was one. And it kind of depends on what's going on in the market. What the time trend does is add a percentage onto the sale price. So if I didn't appeal, I'll just give an example of one that was happening in the city of Litchfield. It sold for $373,000. With the time trend, it's $500,000. So instead of me comparing our values to $373,000, I have to compare it to $500,000. Litchfield would have got a 19% time trend. But with my appeal with saying, hey, I'm updating all these costs, give me another year or two to kind of see where I am, or if I need to fluctuate or whatever, do our calibrating that way. So here is their egg trends, which it has the same idea. Are we following behind the market? As you can see, most of the state did get an egg trend. Some are quite large. Meeker County did have an 11% time trend for the egg. We are grouped with McLeod County, but I did appeal that to get a lower trend of our own because McLeod County was kind of carrying that because they had their own trend. So that's just kind of give you some general information on that. And then I gave you this sheet that has all our egg sales. It's kind of grouped up. So the top part is our main egg sales that are over 34.5 acres, and I wrote on there the time trend of 7.64. So to put it in context, if you look over to the right, the third column from the right, you'll see the time adjusted. So that's the time adjusted sale price, and then you see the net sale price. So when we are looking at values and ratios, we have to use the time adjusted sale price. And our median ratio was at 82%. And what the biggest change this year was tillable seed ground. We had it valued anywhere from $2,800 to $3,300 an acre. I don't have any tillable sales less than $4,400 an acre. So they took about a 40% increase on tillable seed. The rest took Actually, just like Stearns County, 10 to 15 on our tillable A and B. And you can see what our new ag schedule or land schedule is on this one. It kind of tells you what the per tillable is. So our biggest ones are always been down in the south, Danielson. My new sales coming in Danielson, I have about 8,900. I have not seen the 13 or 11,000 as Candy Ojai and Renville has seen. I did just have an auction sale in Kingston for 8,000 an acre, and that's pretty sandy soil. So we will see what's going on with that. Other than that, am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
Can I ask a question?
You sure can?
Unless I missed it. What is the difference between till A, B, and C?
Their soil rating.
Okay.
So A is the best, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes from the USDA.
Okay.
So,
I just wondered
yeah.
whether- Wondering where that was.
It used to be the better the land, the better the price, and that's what people would pay, and now we're not even seeing that anymore. People are just buying it to buy it.
But otherwise, generally, overall, in the county, it kind of went all over just because I increased the building schedule. Some people saw large increases, some people didn't see as much. But all our ratios are compliant, which last year I could have got 16 state board orders because I did not move values high enough, but that was my first year. So, and I didn't like the data I had, and this is one part of the caveat of not getting those orders was that I was going to try to get the best data that we can moving forward. Countywide residential, I believe we were at 82%. Now we're at about 96 or 94% for residential. Apartments, I did do a new income study on apartments, so we've seen those increase. I have not had a call from any apartments. Commercial, I did not touch. We had 99% ratio on commercial. One of our projects next year will be re-looking at all the commercial properties. Maybe not visiting them, but looking at the valuation of them, along with our CPI that we've been kind of looking at, and lakeshore properties, revaluing that. But that's kind of been going on in our neck of the woods. Like I said, I think Mitch touched on pretty much any other information. Same stuff going on. People are still paying way too high. I have $400,000 properties on not so great lakes selling for $700,000. So, and even with a 20% increase, I'm not even catching close. So it's a little scary what's going on out there. Any other questions from me? I do have one recommendation, but I can let this gentleman go before I have that.
Right there, John.
I'd like to get well, I've been here for a couple of years.
Before you do that, 'cause are we broadcasting this or recording this? Okay, I'm gonna have you come up to the microphone up there, John, so that way we can get it recorded.
Okay. For the elevator, I'd like to get it off of commercial for one. And we bought it for $35,000. Everything there, we sold the tractor, the auger off. We took in $10,000 for that. So basically, we had $25,000 into the elevator for ourselves. And they've been claiming it's commercial. We're using it for ourselves. So,
Can I ask you two questions?
go ahead.
You use it for personal storage.
Correct.
Is it the same entity who produces it, then the same entity who stores it?
Correct.
Then we can change it to agricultural.
That's what I wanted for years.
Yes, as long as it's the same entity, even if it was LLC and not an LLC, as long as it's a personal and it's the same.
We got this on a different name. I mean,
Yeah, so as long as the same entity is farming and producing the grain of the same one that owns the elevator,
correct.
those can be ag at that point. So I was just doing some research just to make sure I wasn't misspeaking when I was saying that. So that is one thing that can change if the board is okay with that. The valuation side of it, I have not looked at.
It's at like $79,000.
So it's probably not gonna go down to what you pay for, because we kind of have an elevator cost manual that we kind of value everywhere, even if it's your own personal
Well, for
versus
instance,
commercial.
like Atwater's, they were sold this winter, right? They just tore it all down.
Okay.
Put it on auction, bin, they
And just dismantled it.
this man was gone. Cargill, right, they sold theirs to UFC for $250,000. They sold the train off for $250,000. UFC claims they got it for nothing. There are 6 elevators in the state of Minnesota right now in final bankruptcy. If you ain't loading the 110 cars, you're not in business no more, unless you're a niche market, for instance, Luxembourg feed, or I don't know where there's another one there that runs and mixes.
Can I get your parcel number?
Yep.
So parcel number 24-6008000. Oh wait, that one is, that one is egg. This one is classified as egg.
Are you talking about zoning, or are you talking about your actual classification?
Oh, is it non-ag now?
It's egg. Yep, it's egg.
Okay.
6008. Let's see if my system kicks in.
You know,
Yes.
the trouble with the elevator is not on private property. It's on the railroad property.
Yep, we don't value any land, only building.
So we have to pay the elevator on the railroad every year. For sitting on the property. You know, like they put it in inside.
So, how does that work? If it's, if this county is classifying it as ag, but it's zoned by the city as, you know, I'm assuming it's commercial because it's close to downtown. How does that work? Am I trying to put two disparate things into one basket here, or?
So we kind of care about zoning in certain situations. A lot of times we're still gonna value to the highest and best use. And then we're gonna classify to how it's being used. So if it's not used commercially, we don't value it or classify as commercial. We can value it commercially, but we don't have a different value between commercial grain bins and non-grain bins. The grain bin schedule that we do get is a regional. We actually meet with Vanguard, who does a lot of the elevators, and he does some training on that, so I get all the grain bin schedules from him. So it's kind of consistent throughout the state, so we try to use as much as we can with that. But otherwise, we do have you as ag non-homestead on that parcel. So we have, correct, we have, this is your tax statement. Where do I want to go? So what we did, remember I said I increased ag values, and one of them was grain bins, and that's off the new cost manual. Just make sure I have a kind of a right date on it, if I can just double check my data with you, John. So we have a 1987 bin, so we don't have any that's rated higher, like better condition than what the year built. We have a 1987, we have a 1987, and a 1996 and a 1999 bin. Is that what you have on there? And like I said, one of the increases that haven't been touched, I think the egg schedule hasn't been touched in 2009, was grain bins, and that was for the increase there. But that is something you'll see for taxes for next year. But otherwise, you are classified as ag.
Okay.
So I know that was one of your biggest concerns. So that's on there. I'll get that back to you. We'll get that back to you too.
If the value is gonna still stay high.
There's nowhere for me to move with it because we have your year built is the same as the effective age of it. If the board thinks it's too high, but otherwise they're kind of staying that way. They depreciate pretty fast. Two of them are already 80% depreciated, one's 60% and one's 53. They depreciate about 3% a year. So you should see that go down because I don't plan on making any increases to egg buildings for some time.
Okay.
So over time, they do like fully depreciate a lot quicker than any other type of egg building.
Well, you see, for instance, a lot of smaller bin sites just being gone.
Yep.
I mean, the one in Litchfield, 200,000 bushels is gone today.
Yeah. And some were buying the bins off. So like on the way to Litchfield on that farm over there, they sold that property, I think, for $330 without the bins.
Right.
So they've spent.
But then you look at, for instance, Weisman, he tore down 35,000 bushel bins, which are the size I have. I mean, he didn't even dismantle it, he just scrapped them and put up 100,000 bushel bins. It's changing fast. A 10,000 bushel bin is really not anymore.
No, you need to go big. Go big or go home on
So
those.
that's where
Yeah.
we're at, okay, what do we do? Do we move? And that's what we're at.
Okay.
We just take the big bin, move it to the other farm, demolish the rest, scrap it all out for scrap iron, and leave it set and run? Or do we just keep paying taxes? That's where we're at.
Yeah, understandable.
And see, we feed most of our feed, so we can just put it on a pile outside with no facility, right? Well, you understand putting grain on piles, it's just stacking it up and feeding it to the cattle. And that's what we do mostly, we do sell.
So what are you asking for?
Well, it's, you know, then I missed a bunch of years here, but I tried to get the value to where it's at. Value is at 79, she says, well, that's about where it's at. But realistically, we paid 35. And we sold some equipment that was with it for 10, so we paid 25. Why does the value keep, I mean, if you paid 50,000 for your house, and they're valuing that, you know, if the houses stayed at that value, these bin sites, these elevators are just going by the wayside. If there is no, everything, like you said, go big or go home. If you ain't loading 110 cars like ADM, if they're in St. Cloud, or if you ain't making ethanol, or if you ain't grinding feed for 2 million turkeys or chickens, you ain't in it. There will be no more left. This was the last elevator from here to the city, if you knew that, right? I mean, they're almost a ghost thing. I think its value is still too high, personally.
When did you buy the elevator?
I would say 7 years ago.
No, I can't.
You own the building too, John, or
Yeah.
just the bins?
Let's see
Bins,
here.
the building,
The whole thing?
the whole thing.
So just like everything else here in town, whether it's residential, commercial, ag, as, you know, you've sat here for both board review meetings here. I mean, everything's been increasing in value.
Correct, I understand that, but you know, for instance, like Kimball elevator, gone, it's gonna be gone, Watkins is gone. I mean, if you want it to be gone, I guess just keep taxing us and we'll be gone.
Well, I don't know if that's really a good argument.
Well, we're paying railroad besides county.
Actually, I think it's one of the stipulations that we have to go by. We can't change it because you think it's valued too high. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can agree with you on it.
I have to come here in order to go to county.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is like one of the rules that we have to go by. There's gotta be some governing other than you think it's valued too high. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have to look at that, and that's unfortunately kind of how it falls.
Yeah, and then and we gotta do things in a manner that if we do something for you, we have to do it for everybody, you know, in that area. So that's where, you know, it makes decisions like this that much more difficult, because, you know, you're coming in and saying that, you know, hey, this is valued too high, but we're looking at it, you know, we got the numbers in front of us that, you know, over the past 7, 8 years, everything has gone up immensely, in some cases, a lot. My house, you brought up the house value. I bought my house at 110, you know, 12, 13 years ago. Now, I mean, it's gone up almost twice.
But the elevators have gone the opposite way. Like I said, for instance, UFC bought that one.
But when you bought it though, what was it valued at that time?
What's that?
What was it valued at that time when you bought it?
20,000, we paid taxes for a while. And we've been getting it, I mean, it's going down a little bit, but it never got down to what we paid for it. I mean, if you bought a car for 10,000 and you paid insurance on this car for a Rolls Royce at 80,000, would you like that? I mean, that's what we're doing in the sense of paying taxes on something that's only worth. I mean, it's not resale. The elevator, when we driver decide to pull the pin or quit, we either gonna take it back home and tear it down, sell it for scrap iron, or leave it up to somebody else and figure out what to do. I mean, I don't see, yeah, we bought it for ourselves and we bought it right, don't get me wrong, but why are we paying taxes for something that's, the value is only 35,000? That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. You say it's worth more, but try to get more for it, is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
You know, people don't just come in and buy it. They're just not selling it.
Right.
That's. If it had
Yep, I
value-
understand. I'm just saying this is how we have them all valued in the entire county. And those are just based off of getting costs from other counties, and they do a lot of their research, and then we do a lot of Vanguard appraisals, who, like I said, does a lot of the elevators, and the grain bin research for us. So if the board wants to make a change, they can. I cannot, because I can't treat you any different than anybody else, but then if they don't make a change, you definitely have the right to go to county board to see if
Well,
they'll
that's
do
why I
it.
have to put it.
Correct.
You understand? I had to come here first.
Yep, no, and that is by all means the process, so. All right,
Okay, we're done, thank you.
John, can we get your
thanks,
phone number?
John.
Thanks,
What's
John.
that?
Can I get your phone number?
980-4012.
98040. Okay.
Right?
All right,
Thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Have a good night, John.
Thanks, John.
Other than that, I do have one recommendation.
Okay.
You guys probably know him, John Palm. So I did go view the interior of his property with him, and I think he's been kind of visited in the last couple of years, and he's called a couple times over the years. I did make one change to his property because it was, the access to the basement is only from the exterior. So I did put a little bit of functional on that. Otherwise, then, so that drops his value down $4,000. So I recommend moving his value from, or his building value from 57.7 to 53.7, which his overall value will go from 77,000 to 73,000. No land value change. That's all I have otherwise. 24-0162-000. You're welcome.
Do we want to make, do we make that now, do we make that now, or do we want to mull on that for a little bit? I mean, that's your recommendation.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna change that, it's gonna break the bank here.
No. So, all right, I'm trying to remember, we can just do a motion to accept that, right? All right. Want to make sure we're following the procedure here. All right. I'll make a motion to accept the county board's recommendation. The parcel.
24-01,
24-0.
162-000.
There we go.
I second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Anything else?
You can close it?
All right, then I will close the board review.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, definitely, thank
Thanks.
you. One of these years, we'll have you guys come in first, so you guys can do the long speech. Give Mitch a break.
Yeah, I just say, how much more excited about something.
You want that back?
Don't get out
Like put them on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did it? All right, appreciate that.
Want to pull the speaker out, microphone out?
There we go.
Oh, no.
All right, well, it is 8 o'clock. We still rolling, Cindy? Okay, all right. I'll have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to tonight's agenda. Council, have you had a chance to take a look at it? Any questions, any amendments?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion by Dan to approve. Second by Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to tonight's consent agenda. Any questions or clarifications?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A motion by Pat to approve.
Second.
Second by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right, then that will bring us up to item 3 on the agenda here today. That'll be Doug Rulin coming to address the council. If I can have you stand up to the stand up to the mic, sir. We're actually broadcasting this.
I asked him to place on the agenda tonight to talk about the rental license for 300 Douglas Drive. Since this ordinance rolled out, I have applied for state fees for and had inspections for a rental license for that property. About 2 years ago, last December, there was a letter that went out to my tenants from the city attorney that suggested to them, even though they were paying their rent, they could be forced to move out of the building. I was concerned about that, and at the time, tried to figure out where that came from. There was really no warning about that. And I also noticed that there was reports in the
following January, February, but I was not complying with, or I was the reason the inspection was not completed. My license was up for renewal in May of that year. When I read that, I was a little upset. One of the things I did was I wrote an email. Didn't have everybody's address, but I wrote it to the council. I addressed it to the city attorney because he drafted the letter. I addressed it to the mayor. I addressed it to the clerk. And I addressed it to the compliance officer, the zoning administrator. I asked them that it be brought to the full council, forward to the full council. And I asked them to be made part of the minutes. You recall in that time period, we were in the lockdown for COVID, and we weren't having a public meeting. I now learned, after all these many months, that was not forwarded to the council, was not made part of the minutes. None of the issues were addressed. As a landlord, things are pretty simple, kind of like a mortgage. You get a stack of papers when you close in your house, you draft the lease. The basic principle is you pay, you get to stay. You don't, you gotta go. That first letter bothered me because, first of all, there's no lead up to it or any announcement of why this is going to kind of keep along. And it suggested to my tenants, and caused them a lot of anxiety, even though they're paying and they're doing what they're supposed to do, that somehow the city could force them from being able to rent there. Kind of the opposite if you pay, you get to stay. The result of that email was I immediately got a call. They scheduled an inspection, and the inspection was done. The first license for the first roll-off, which was pretty rocky, pretty hard in my humble opinion, was finalized in about May of 2018. So I was up for renewal in May of 2020. I've since learned that there was a lot of confusion in the file, and the original compliance officer not involved anymore, and the original clerk's not involved anymore. So there was an attempt to reconstruct when that first license was. There was mistakes made, time limits were off, it didn't make any sense to me, but they were operating under the assumption that this was January of 17. And that was from a letter that was in the file dated January 17. If you look at the body of the letter, it was written in January of 18. They're off a year right off the get-go. The other thing I discussed when I got this next letter was that this didn't make any sense, the timeline still didn't make any sense. So I asked for a meeting. And after a couple of delays for personal reasons, we had that meeting in February of this year. And I wanted to discuss what was going on. Because in December, my tenants got another letter that said, essentially, you can stay if you don't pay. Just can't collect rent. It's like a bunch of cases, we just wanted to discuss that. And there's a bold-faced statement that says, you do not have a valid rental license. That's addressed to me. Now, of course, this was not the case. I have several correspondence from the city saying your license is up for renewal. After that meeting, I got a memo that said they didn't mean that. But I don't know how I was to know that. For 18 months, we operated under the concept that I had a license. And all of a sudden, you're saying I don't have a license. Why I was having that meeting, why I was trying to discuss this stuff, unbeknownst to me, the city was doing a lawsuit against my company and myself for not having a rental. Of course, I had a couple of tenants that were having problems not paying, I have to bring an eviction action, regardless of eviction action. When I brought the eviction action, the city stepped in to defend those, what they call friend of the court brief. And it says one that the tenants were talking to the city, and the city was encouraging them. If you read your own ordinance, right in your ordinance, it says the city doesn't get involved in contractual rights between the landlord and tenant. But you did, and the city attorney attached that lawsuit. Now, I've given you a mountain of information to read. You can read that information, see in there. Other than getting the names right in that lawsuit, almost everything was stated in there was false. It talked about no access to the building, several years with no inspection, which is absolutely incorrect. I've asked for the lawsuit to be dismissed. I understand you discussed this in the last meeting. I saw the minutes for the first time tonight. You just approved those minutes, and it said that's going to be dismissed. Despite my repeated request to the city attorney, that doesn't happen yet. I also asked that because they filed a friend of the court brief and attached this lawsuit, which is full of factual allegations that are untrue, that a copy of that dismissal be put into those eviction actions. That has to happen. Both things need to happen. They need to happen in a timely manner. I don't know why we're slow walking that, but we are. This concept that is stated in the letter from the city attorney goes on to describe and cites a bunch of cases. The WADA, WAJBA case is one of particular interest. What it says in there is if you don't have a license, you can't collect rents, is what they're saying in this letter. If you actually take the case out and look at it, it's an unpublished court of appeals case. It's a Minnesota case, and it reinforces that if you don't pay, you don't get to stay. What it says is, if you don't have a rental license, but you give them 14 days notice, they're tenant will, and they gotta leave. Your friend of the court brief filed on behalf of the city says just the opposite. I don't know why when the ordinance says you're not gonna interfere, you're interfering. I don't know why when you say you're gonna dismiss this lawsuit, it's full of inaccurate information, all which came from the city. It doesn't get dismissed when you say you're going to dismiss it. And I don't know why we're making this connection under this letter that says you can't collect rent when you're not licensed. Because that's not what the law says. I know your attorney's saying that. I know your attorney's made that correlation. But that's not clearly what it says. If you have an ordinance like Minneapolis that made it a penalty, a criminal penalty, then you can jump to these next cases and attack those stuff. But that's not what happened. The bigger problem we have is while I'm working to do all this, and this is going on, every time I turn around, it seems like there's another step to do it. And I thought, okay, my license is up in May. I'll apply for the license. I get my new license. And this could be solved in 5 minutes. That's what I did. I came in and I asked for a copy of my past license. City doesn't have them in the file. And the argument is still being made to today. The compliance officer says, I did not sign that license back in 2020, May. So you don't have a license. After 18 months of holding out that we have a license, I relied on it, the city relied on it, all the correspondence relies on it. And all of a sudden, without warning, I get this bomb to my clients and me in December saying I don't have a license. There's a simple theory, it's called stop. Your attorney can fill you in on it, but it basically says you can't go along for 18 months acting like things one way and then change your mind. The other thing, if you're going to make changes to the ordinance, and I heard that they might make some changes to the ordinance, one of them you might want to change is this concept that if you have a firearm, and you can pass the inspection, like so they're taking it out of service or running it out of service. That makes no sense. I have a fire alarm in each department, required for any residential. I have fire detectors, smoke and heat detectors in the common areas, and a common fire alarm for the common area. And that's worked since I built the building. I could pass, what I'm told is I could pass if I marked it out of service. But if I elect to leave it on, when it's working, then I have to have a certification. I'm told that the reason I don't have, that they won't sign a license is because I was told I needed a certification annually back in 2020, which I was. I was also told that because of COVID, you probably aren't going to be able to get anybody to do that right now. But since I did all the requirements and passed them in 2020, no one ever said, you don't have a license. If you don't have a license, you need to say the license is denied. That never happened. Originally, it never happened in 2020. It happened for a week or so between the last inspection and the final inspection. So all I'm asking for is very simple. I need a copy of the license. I shouldn't have to go to court and give them a mountain of information, all the city documents, explaining all of the things that went on, and rebut a letter that has a conclusion in it, which is incorrect. These people, they rely on this. It looks very official. It sounds like it's correct. And they reacted to it. Two of them that were having problems decided not to pay because of this letter. One of them essentially solved those issues. But I got one of them that hasn't. The court wants to see that dismissal of the cases from the file for transfer. They want to see that dismissal. They also want to see the dismissal in the other. So I'd like to see that. And see according to the minutes you address that. But that needs to be done. I'd also like to get a copy of my passport. Certainly the one in 2020. The other thing I noticed,
Hey Doug, if we're gonna, I'm gonna, just in the interest of time, I know you want to go through everything that you want to discuss here tonight, but I'm gonna have you get to what your official ask is, which you just started talking about that, and then, okay,
oh, my license.
okay.
I want a copy of my license. That's what I wanted when I came in December after I got this letter.
Okay, so the reason why you're not gonna get your 2020 license is because there wasn't ever one. You haven't, according to what we feel as a council, you have not been in compliance.
Also,
Where there's no documentation that's saying that you were ever in compliance.
that's the problem. Your compliance officer didn't issue a license. They didn't do it in 2018 after they checked everything and every box was done and everything was fine. I agree. I was told the file was a mess. And it is. But that doesn't mean I don't have a license. And when it came up for renewal, I renewed it. And to stand here and say, because the compliance officer didn't sign that, and after 18 months of treating it as though it is a license, and the compliance officer's letter saying I got a license and it's up for renewal, you're now saying I don't have a license because he didn't sign it? That's the position of the city.
No, the way we look at it, you have not been in compliance.
Also, it's a fair question.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree, but according, even with that file so-called being a mess, that, okay, that's fine. That there's no record of you even passing the inspection back then. So there's no license for you, to have.
Compliance officer, if we did. We want to put this on the record right now. I had an inspection. I had it 4 years ago. I had it 2 years ago.
But did you pass that inspection?
I did.
How so?
He went through, he did his checklist, and I passed.
Okay. Where's your copy of that inspection report?
You didn't have one back then.
Because
You
you
didn't do
didn't,
a denial back then.
didn't-
You didn't have those documents back then. You didn't say approved or disapproved. You were on a learning curve apparently. But I don't know that you were saying 18 months later, I don't have a license.
When a good businessman asks for that inspection report,
Yes.
okay, did you ask
I'm a
for
good
it?
businessman.
did you,
I'm not saying you're not.
Any good regulator would do what they have to do.
Okay.
And that's if you deny
Hey,
something, you have to say you deny.
dial it back, Doug, or this conversation ends now, okay? We're not gonna yell, we're not gonna point, we're gonna keep this in a civil
I didn't like the
conversation.
attack coming back this way.
That's not an attack. That was a valid question. So it comes back,
I perceive it as an attack. I'm
Okay.
telling you all the problems
Then-
I've experienced in
then
the last 6 years.
everybody,
And you turn it around and say, what about good business?
It's a question, it's just a question, all it was.
It's not the burden on me, was my point.
Go on.
okay. So the fact still remains, the position of the city is you are not in compliance, which means that all remedies that is bestowed upon the city to take any type of legal action, which means you did not have a license, which meant you should not have been operating that building, renting out space in that building during that time period. Now that you're back in compliance, that's fine, we can move forward from here, okay?
You're missing something.
I'm not missing anything.
You're missing everything. What
What
about
you're,
the first 18 months where you said it was?
I don't recall anybody ever saying that you've been ever in compliance except for that
I
very.
sent you a pack of papers, it was right there.
Mhm.
It says it. They're your letter. I'm not the one that's saying it. This letter is to inform you that your license is about to expire in June of 2021, and again on August 26th of 2021. And when I went to ask about the time limits, to this day, you still can't tell me when my license starts and when my license stops. I'm not the licensing authority. I'm just the guy who's paying the fees, doing the inspections, doing the compliance, and doing this. And I'm appalled by the misstatements that were in that lawsuit. They're not even close to the truth. Where did they come from? Who was the person that told your city attorney to write up a lawsuit that said there's been no inspection since 2019?
You're looking at us. We're the ones that told our city attorney to move forward with legal action against your property.
Anybody look at that lawsuit to see all the mistakes that were in that stated lawsuit?
We have a very good track record with our city attorney of not steering us in a wrong direction.
No, the city attorney, it's kind of like computers, garbage in, garbage out. When you're telling him all this misinformation, his lawsuit is full of factual allegations that he says he's going to prove, which are incorrect. That's a problem. You made it sound like I don't operate a good building. I didn't give you access. I haven't had an inspection for 2019. I think I operate the best building in town, including when I was in direct competition with the city. I passed my inspection. The only complaint you're referring to, that you say is a big deal, that you would hold this up and it's supposed to protect my people, is that there wasn't a certification of my working alarm system. And for that, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars interfering with me collecting my rent from my folks. I don't get it. I understand after I talked and had the meeting why these things were coming out of nowhere, because your timelines were all off. First thing I said is these timelines don't make any sense. And it was explained to me, we don't go by what the ordinance says when we issued the ordinance, we go by some other timeline. And the old, original, very first license that was in the file, that was a mess, and I agree it was a mess, had documentation on it some 2, 3, 4 years later. That said January 17th of 2017, I don't know exactly, it was January of 2017. That was a mistake. My clients are getting this or my residents are getting this misinformation. I'm dealing with these things, and I asked a simple request. Give me a copy of my license. And the city won't do it. And you're saying you're doubling down, you're still gonna stand by all those mistakes and say, I, as a good businessman, should have pried it out of you somehow?
Well, I think you answered your own question. Our position has not changed at all. And I'll let my fellow council people speak for themselves, speak for themselves here, but for myself, you were operating without a license. I believe you were operating without a license.
I know you believe that, but explain this to me. When I tried to solve this problem over 2 years ago, why did you bury my email? You personally.
How did I bury that email?
Yeah.
How did I do it?
I don't know. Why didn't you bring it to the council? Why didn't you tell them what was going on? Why did we not know back then that there was a problem I was trying to get solved?
I don't recall that situation at all, so.
Well, I gave you a copy of the material. I asked it to be forwarded to the rest of the council members. I asked it to be brought up at the meeting, and I asked it to be part of the minutes. None of which happened.
Well, we have a history here, and a lot of this stuff, we end up sending straight, a lot of this correspondence that has been happening between you and the city goes straight to our city attorney. Because you come in here, you talk about, how factually inaccurate things are, how bad we're executing this ordinance. And the fact of the matter still remains, I feel you were operating without a license. Now you're not, which is fine.
And that's another thing. If I was buying my tabs, my license from the city, you would expect that when it's expired, you buy it for another year, you get it. I just got my new license. The dates don't match. You just pull them out of the air. Next year, if I come in 6 months early, we just match them up to that. I understand the city's got some things to do, and I understand that there's an ordinance. All I'm asking is for you to follow your ordinance. And all these timelines and the concerns that he had, and the letters I was getting, didn't tell me he misunderstood that the timeline was different. It just says I'm up for renewal. It doesn't say when. And I got another license because it's coming up. My license isn't for renewal until May. But I got a new one now, it says it's March. And I said, where's the one I came in and asked about in December? Well, we don't have it. That's because you didn't sign it. So you're saying him failing to sign that, telling me I got a license for 18 months is okay, and then dropping a bomb on my folks in December because you think I don't have a license is okay? And then I read your minutes. That's even more.
All right. You're starting to go into circles here again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the members of my council, ask you any questions or any address, have anything they want to talk to you about. But we've been going at this for quite a while now, and we're starting to go in circles here. So, all right, council.
I got questions. So you're in compliance now,
Yep,
right?
I believe so.
Is that correct, Aaron? So we're good there. So basically, at the end of the day, right now, you're asking just for a simple copy of a 2020 license. And if that doesn't get produced, chances are this is gonna keep going on. That's what I'm saying, so.
The friend of the court brief, I gotta defend it, I gotta bring in all this stuff, I gotta show
Yeah.
all this stuff, because if I say, here's my license, then they don't wonder about all these allegations and the lawsuits and the dismissal.
So at this point, right now, if it's a matter of getting a 2020, that solves everything.
I'm fine. I don't have a problem.
My
And I
concern,
will take Dan's advice. Next time I'll be much more diligent, but a much better businessman to keep on this if I don't get the paperwork when I'm supposed to.
I guess this is what I'm gonna present, because I kind of see, I just see it keep moving, and we're spending more and more money, is my problem. We don't know, does it really, to get a 2020, to end all this, is it out of the realm? Instead of keep bringing Adam in and keep bringing the money in, I mean, is there any ramification on our end? Just because you're getting a copy of a 2020 license, right? That's what you're asking, and then it's done.
Do we have a 2020 license to present?
Sounds like we don't have any licenses,
For the,
other than this one.
right.
There's
Did you get the first one?
There would have only been one other.
No, there was two. Well, there'd been one other before that, you're correct.
You got a physical copy of the first one, right?
Did I?
Yes.
No. No. The last I got heard was in May of 2018. They wanted an additional $100. And I came in, gave them $100, got a receipt. Thought it was good to go. Never got done. I don't know, in all fairness, I don't know if there was when that transition happened, and he stopped doing it, when the new guy took over. I don't know what was all going on there. But
I'm just
I spent
concerned it's
hours and
gonna be
hours and hours putting these documents together to get this all done so I could clarify where I was. I had a lot to do besides correcting all this stuff and trying to figure this out. I'm just operating my business.
So my question is, you propose giving him a 2020 license. If he doesn't have one, how do we present it to him?
That's the $1 million question, because if we go back and we look at things, we're gonna keep going through this, it seems like. I just think it's gonna keep going, and we're gonna keep spending more money. The city, it's not gonna resolve anything, we're already changing our ordinances, the way I'm looking at it, so this is not gonna happen again. And now you're good to go, you got your current license.
We talked about.
I just kinda want them done, to be honest.
You know, your original certificate that I saw that was unsigned, didn't have a date on it. It didn't say when it started, didn't say when it stopped, didn't say when it expired. And we talked about that and suggested that, you know, maybe that should be on there so we all know where we are and these types of problems don't happen. Your most recent one does, and that makes good sense. So I get it that we're trying to improve this process, because it's an ongoing process on both sides.
So would you agree if that could happen, we're done?
Right.
I mean, that's ultimately, I'm struggling with money going out.
Two things. The dismissal that was promised to these men, because I've done all the stuff I'm supposed to do there. I need that, because I need to convince this judge. If you don't pay, you don't get to stay. Okay? He's delayed that, waiting to see what's happening in the city bank. So, we need to dismiss it. And I either got to prove there all of these things that happened to show that it was licensed. The letters from the city saying it's reasonable and those things are helpful. The most helpful thing, the judge doesn't want to stay and listen to me for a half hour anymore, you guys. He just likes to have me hand her a license instead of a license. And historically, I guess it doesn't matter, but 18 licenses. The 21 is critical because there's a potential overlap there between August when you send them up for renewal and December when you say I don't have a license.
Do we know why Adam has not? I mean, is it just because it's so new, or? But,
I don't know that it's not on our agenda.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't
You know,
know.
we said they were sending the dismissal report, but I have no idea.
I don't know that he ever filed a lawsuit with the court. So I don't know if that lawsuit would have to have a dismissal. I emailed, said, please send me one, and I have not seen one. That's all I know. And I haven't got one by mail or anything else. And I also requested, because he did a friendly court brief, and the court's not supposed to take those allegations as fact or proof, but it's still in there, it doesn't look good. But one that dismisses the show.
Well, I don't, nowhere in the letter that he did send to you, letting him know letting him know on that there would be a letter filed with the court to go with those two eviction actions that you are currently working through. But nowhere in here does it say that it would be an actual dismissal. Actual dismissal to me means that we actually are moving forward with some type of legal action against you. There's something to dismiss, right?
I'm going to serve with a lawsuit. You know that, right? While I was working this out with the city, talking to the clerk and that, and responding and assembling all these documents, I got a knock on the door and the sheriff handed me a lawsuit. So there's a lawsuit.
We would need to talk to the attorney.
Yeah, I would, yeah, you'd have to talk to him, talk to our attorney.
I have.
Yeah.
I sent an email asking for dismissal.
Have you tried picking up the phone and calling him?
Do we have to generate that dismissal?
We already, no, it'd have to be filed through the city.
It's a legal
through,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I thought that's kind of what we talked about at the last, that's the
My
assumption I
understanding is it
had
was
that he
already
was
being
doing it.
taken care of, so.
I just read the minutes. I'm reading the minutes, and I see that based on Mr. Ripple's deal, if it passes, this was that lawsuit, we'd be dismissed.
All right, so let's, it sounds like there's potential motion that you're thinking about doing, Troy?
Yes.
One thing with that, before we make a motion, we don't have a license for 2020. How can we go and just create one out of the blue? No, I
That's what I'm
know,
trying to figure
I know where you wanna go
Yeah,
and solve all this stuff, but can we just create a back license?
I responded that quickly. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are of the opinion right now that there wasn't a license signed. So there's not that.
Okay, I don't know,
And
yeah.
I'm saying under the stop period at the very least, if you treated these little license for 18 months, the fact that you didn't sign it, you still go. So that's a debatable issue. That's all I'm pointing out, it's a debatable issue. So you can come down on either side of that.
I agree with Troy that we want to get this resolved. We're spending a lot of money. We all are spending a lot of money. And we need to get it resolved, and if coming up with this 2020 license agreement will solve it, I think we should talk with our attorney, make sure we're doing it right, and then let's get it taken care of.
And I mean, if you would you be willing to sign off on that, Doug, that if this happens, we're good from this point on? I mean, we're not gonna go back and try to get an 18.
Let me put it right on the record right here now. If you report it or
Yeah.
what. The fact that there was misstatements damaged my reputation and a fault. Defamation, libel, or slander. There would be no funds or anything like that for me. I just want to be able to run my business.
Just be done and we move on, and that's kind of where I'm at. I just think a lot of money has been spent that it's just, we're spinning our wheels in my belief. So I'd just like to get done with this. So if that's what it's gonna take, I guess that's what I'm asking. But, I mean, everybody's,
make the motion.
Makes sense to me.
how do you want me to word it?
However you want to word it.
I make a motion to, talk to Adam about generating a 2020 license for Doug, for our LLC. So we can dismiss everything and move on.
I second that.
All right, I have a first and a second. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries. All right, have a good day. Or actually evening, and see how it's past that, so. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move along here. We're gonna move on to paying the bills. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments about the bills? No. Nope?
No,
no, I'm good.
All right, I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to departments, on to planning commission.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, who made the motion on the bill?
Oh, I made the motion, Pat made, Pat seconded.
So for zoning, we had a lot combination request for 340 Coleman Avenue. Pretty straightforward, it's not a property. Buyers are making them joint property. It's apartment complex and the apartments go over the property line, so we voted to approve that and
All right, well, go ahead and we'll address the resolution here first. So there's resolution 2022-08, approve combining two lots in a residential multifamily residential, no, you got it right there, district. Would somebody like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to approve 2022.
I have a motion by Pat. I'll go ahead and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then I had a second steps, 6.5, that was under 150 square feet that I approved. That's all I got for zoning.
Don't have the accessory structure, but.
No, it's in this packet.
Okay.
536?
The one over here.
536, then.
Building
By 30.
garage, it's being moved in on skids.
Was that already through?
No, it's in this
No,
packet.
it's in this packet.
I didn't think it had gone through council.
536, there's that sounds.
That's the.
That's one we met on the regular meeting, we talked about, the one out here, no.
By the-
Maintenance building,
Yep.
school maintenance building.
Oh, yes.
They have,
Yeah, we got it in here, so we can take a look at it. So,
It was putting this garage on an existing concrete by its
there,
house,
okay.
so it doesn't really,
Is that house that,
John Karen had.
John Karen redid?
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
By
Then I know what it
the
is.
JV.
Okay, yeah, and there's like a big concrete
yeah,
pad
just
that they
putting it
put in right on there.
They took out the old, like an accessory building there.
Yeah.
Is removing or did remove.
Yeah, a little shed. That was in the last.
I didn't see it here.
Okay.
And that's considered affordable anyway, right?
Yeah, but you can only have 3 accessory structures.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Or 2 accessory structures.
We approved it on the planning zone level.
Okay, all right.
I'll just use my usual, we got the property corners marked.
Hmm.
You gotta have a site permit. I'll say it every time, otherwise it looks good.
All right. Does that mean you will make the motion
Yeah,
to
I'll
approve
make
it?
that motion.
All right, I have a motion by Troy to approve,
Second.
second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right.
Any questions on zoning before we go on to rental?
No, yes, actually, because this would fall in that. And I don't know if it kind of more goes to Zach. The house that was moved in over on Coleman. I think we're gonna have to, and I don't know, some erosion control.
Yep, Cindy and I kind of discussed that last Friday already.
Okay, no, just cause I noticed it's starting to get pretty bad.
And they're starting to drive on the
Yes,
neighbor's
sir.
property and stuff like that.
And then I noticed, there's holes, you know, where they moved it in. And with that daycare there, it'd be nice if they can get that buttoned up. I don't know what we can, if any, but, and because they did some trenching back there and there's that open hole where he's driving, but he's tracking everything on the road and it's going down the curb, so that would be my concern. I'd like to see that addressed. I don't know where we could stand on that, but. Um,
The size, their plan wasn't followed. It had a little, like a foot step in from the house in the garage. They just needed to get across. Not worth fighting over it, but it's not big. Get that buttoned up and everything. Stand on it a little bit harder. But you were gonna reach out to Kent about, were you?
I reached out to both of them on the stormwater, and yes,
And technically.
it does, it impacts it. And what we had talked about is we need to draft something that lists all of these things and send it to them. You know, I mean, obviously, they haven't abided by anything, so, we need to do those steps before we can do any other steps. So something has to be drafted.
You get in a lot of mud and stuff on the road when you drive.
Yeah, yeah.
We force other people to scrape the roads. Easy.
Yeah, it was
Do
getting
the
pretty
same
bad
thing.
over there. And I mean, technically with the SWIFT, they don't really start enforcing until April 15th. But with the weather changing, it needs to be addressed, you know, but I'm glad you guys are working on it, cause that is an issue. That was the only thing I had. I figured it was kind of one that we didn't address per se, because typically you don't run into that. But yeah, that would be a big issue.
It is something that if we see it as staff when we're driving around, which is really cool, the person who called, these are things we're aware of, and so when that happens, we need to respond to it fairly quickly in getting that information to them.
And my concern too is with that structure, obviously, I mean, everybody kind of knows where I feel with it, but with that daycare so close there, and those open, be nice if they could at least close that in, because with the weather being nicer with the kids, hate to have them go in there and something happens. I just don't, not real comfortable with that, but. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right.
574 Brook Street North, it is past due. And in contact with the homeowner, the renter will not allow me in there without, homeowner being there without a. Needs to be the 15th or 18th. So, this is, third inspection of that property.
Is that the one that's over there, right?
No, the one, on Trader John on that corner.
Oh, that
Okay.
double egg, okay.
So that's where we're at that one. 477 Maple Street, that's the one across. Okay, so you're thinking that one, that's the one you're, double wide is what you're thinking, what I'm talking about now. The other one is behind, behind, the blue shop.
Just north of Fuji.
Oh, that, okay, okay.
So 477 Maple Street is the double wide. They were doing, it was November. They didn't do nothing, you gotta go 15 to do it, otherwise you can send it to the attorney. And, 15 last month. And the church, John, the guy that was here 2 years ago, on his behalf, caretaker or whatever, myself. We'll get there, I'll take it, she doesn't have to go. I'll talk to Cindy and see how they do it. As long as he's willing to step in and take care of it, last time to take care of it, we'll bring it to you after that.
That, did we reinforce that, is that if we did made that agreement to April 15th, that that's it? You know, after that, we're.
Yeah, so, it was never, did we send any, I don't know, we sent to, I think it was follow-up, I don't know if it's not a follow-up, or what did we send to? Ron, I'm not sure. I don't know if she's aware that she has to work it. It's just a verbal conversation I have with John and myself.
I think in light of the conversation we just had, let's make sure we document everything. And maybe even send, like, after you have a verbal conversation like that, send a letter and or an email to all parties involved. That way everybody's on the same page, so we don't have somebody come in and say, you know, that's not what I heard.
I would definitely suggest email on any conversation, that way it's easier to save, it's easier to.
And everything we've been sending to Rob by,
Okay.
Because she doesn't always pick up the mail. And many of these items are outdoor items that need to be repaired, which was another reason to give an extension because it's outdoor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and we have, 7 renewals due in, July 31st, and we have 1 temporary license. And that's due in September. Temporary license expires.
Temporary rental license?
Yeah, that's the one that, I did a fall paint color, didn't match the top of the top of it.
Oh, that's the one that's over there.
That's for the nutshell for rental.
No. All right. Thanks, Darren. All right, on to Cindy.
You should have the financial report in front of you for the cash and investment. Through March 31st, we have a total of cash and investments of $3,555,625. Healthy balance. There's one, you'll see the 418 one, looks like they did the 2018 utility project. That is a negative 84,000, and that has to do with coding. When it came from PFA, she divides it between sewer and water. So I put it in the sewer and water fund, and the auditor said it needs to come out of there, and we're gonna put it back into the 418, because that's what they had estimated the year before. So I haven't reallocated these funds, because they will have to get their percentage back out. So it will be paid for out of the sewer and water.
Okay.
It won't change really the balance, I'm just gonna take it from sewer and water to pay off. That should be zero, we're done with paying the 2018 project, so. It's an old, it's an odd case, so.
Okay.
Yeah. And at the next meeting will be the audit, which, you know.
When you say the next meeting, you're talking the May meeting
No.
or the workshop one?
Yeah.
And they'll be here in person, so.
Yeah. That's why we decided not to try to do everything all at once in our April meeting, like we've done in years past.
Last year, we would now be doing the audit,
Yeah,
and that's,
I'm good with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Just was clarifying.
yep,
well,
that's all I have.
all right. Anybody got anything for Cindy? All right. Then we'll go ahead on to Mr. Zach.
I got, the lawn mowing position, we had 5 people applied. I asked Troy to help me out with some interviews, so we interviewed 4 of them. One turned down the interview, so, interviews went good. I had great conversations with everyone, and, the best fit candidate that I feel potentially might possibly one day lead into something more with the city is, Jared Noner, so, recommend you guys bring him on board.
All right. That's,
Approve bringing him on board.
that's your recommendation. I see no issue. No. I'll make a motion to approve the new hire. Second? All in favor?
Troy, second.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye. There you go.
Yeah, so once the grass comes up, we'll get them working.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then, yeah, we just been street sweeping and getting ready for spring. So, going good. Any questions?
nope. The sidewalk on the south end of my property there is starting to pop up again on the north side, the side of that,
Okay.
of that chunk.
Yep.
It might be actually worthwhile starting at his sidewalk where it starts there at McCarthy, and just kind of walk up to the hill, up to Shennikers.
Yeah, when I sweeped it the other day, I noticed that it's all,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it'll-
Especially in front of Bruckers and Mosers, it's pretty bad.
Pretty bad there, but the one in front of my place there, it's just lifting up, and my fear is somebody coming down with some roller skates or skateboard or something is gonna get snagged on that and then go for a nice little ride. I mean, in front of Brickers and Mosers there, that's pretty visible.
Sure.
But the one there it's not visible until you're there. Right now, it's about maybe a 1/4 inch, but I know it's gonna be a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch before too long here.
Swing by and take a look at it.
And what on your lift stations and stuff, everything looking good?
For flow wise, at the ponds or?
Yeah. Maintenance wise.
Yeah, going well.
I would caution you, if you're starting to see anything that could be potentially an issue, start looking at it.
As far as parts replacements,
Yeah,
pumps?
they're getting real tough.
Good.
Not trying to, just if you see something, to kind of maybe act a little quicker to look at it, you know, what can we do, what can we not, because the parts are gonna be, supply chain is getting real bad on sewer and water stuff. So, just wanna make sure we stay on top of that, because that could be an issue.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then, going back to the sidewalk discussion, when you're looking at the sidewalks, if you wanna take a couple moments and tap down my curb stand.
Hooking up on this.
It popped the cover off again.
Better, driver deeper,
There we go.
don't need a coupler.
All right.
Water board meeting, we have a water board meeting. April.
What's that?
April. Fourth, I think it's the fourth.
April.
Email.
Yeah, please.
April 28th, 4:00.
Alright. Anything else for Zach?
Nice job on the interviews. Liked the layout, did well. Nice. Came prepared. You got any questions, this is like legit. Spent more time than we did clearing him. That's crazy. I even said that, I was like, what are we doing? This is way more technical than we hired you. But nice job getting that set up, and, no, it worked out good.
Very good. All right, then we'll on to other. Anything on council?
Nope.
All right, then that brings us up to our next meetings. That'll be, it's April 20th at 7 PM. We'll have the auditors in. I think we'll have Janelle Kendall in too, with the yearly report from the Stearns County. Yeah, that's it.
Sure.
you know, obviously. Chief Jumper's on leave, so we've had two who are filling in. Reggie and Tim have been filling in along with Jones and Meeker, and heard from the DCA, 2 more weeks. And then, we have received 2 applications, and 1 is emailed. Yeah.
Potentially have 3. Nice.
When is that ending, the application?
We
Is
kept
it wide open?
until
Okay.
filled, so
Yep.
it made sense at the time, at some point, the hiring committee will wanna at least, decide what.
Yeah, probably should probably get a copy, start looking at those, yeah. All right, very well. All right, with that being said, I'll go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. Thanks, folks. Hey, the actual council meeting only took less than an hour.
The actual council meeting took about a half hour.
The actual.
The actual council meeting. Wait.
Sorry.
I was trying to get you to chime in.